Hey,
Hey,
Glenn.
John. Let
How you
me,
doing?
good, good. Let me see if I can switch my audio here. Actually, I'll just do it from the computer. So how do I sound? Good?
You sound great. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Now, what part of the world are you in?
I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Okay, okay, awesome.
Yeah. So I've been here for a while. I've been with EXP for 2 years now. Joined
Oh,
right,
congratulations.
yeah,
Yeah.
2 years. And then recently became Icon. I didn't think about being an Icon agent until it was there, right? So now that I usually capped every year, did pretty well. But then last year I was like, okay, I'm very close. So it made me work a little bit harder, to achieve that Icon status. So I was very excited for it.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Well, and then now you're vesting some more equity, and
Yes, sir.
now you got more incentive on seeing the stock go up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I joined when we were like about $8 or so, 7 or 8. So
Okay. Yeah.
I started, investing day one. I mean, I come from a corporate world too. So to me, equity and stock is very important. It was one of my main drivers. So
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good
Hey,
stuff.
I want to ask you some questions about leadership and just, a few questions about how you were successful today, how you got there, just general questions about leadership in general, if you're okay with that.
Okay. Yeah. No, that works.
What part of the world are you in now?
We're in Scottsdale at the JW Marriott Desert Ridge. We're got a management meeting here,
Okay.
starting a little bit later today.
All right. So a couple of questions. Number one, on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you and why?
Yeah, no, I think probably an 8. I think there's always something to do and always more things to accomplish. So from that perspective, but obviously I've accomplished quite a bit. So
Yes.
can't be disappointed with that. But I
Yeah.
think the idea is that you're always working on being a better version of yourself. And so as a result, if you're at a 10, then what else do you have to strive for?
Yeah. So it's great to hear you're still striving for newer things and trying to still achieve more, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you advise your younger self, knowing what you know today? So people are like looking up to you saying, oh man, one day I want to be this guy. How do I get there? Or what could I have done differently?
Um, yeah, um, I think the advice I'd just give my younger self is just keep on, you know, don't take defeat so personally. And, early on in life, got kicked in the teeth a few times, and so taking those a little bit more in stride, I think would have been helpful for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Um, Today, what is one of your biggest challenges as a leader?
You'd probably trying to stay relevant for the newer agents in the field.
Okay.
Given that I'm certainly hit it out of the park personally. I'm coming up on 20 years in the business. 20
Yeah.
years since I got my license. That'll be in April, and I think there's given the size of the organization, it's sometimes hard to be right in the trenches with the new agent, and it's a different market, it's a different set of tools, technologies, marketing strategies, and other things that are used today than were used 20 years ago. And even though some of the stuff that we started pioneering in 20 years ago is pretty mainstream, now it's like, what's the next iteration of cool cutting edge tech that's going to scale an agent's business easier than the stuff that worked really well 15 years ago.
Yeah. So how, in that same line, like how are you keeping up with the technologies and how do we keep up front of everything? Obviously the newer agents coming in, they're a different generation too. They know a little bit different than, like say me and you did 10, 15 years ago. So, how do we keep moving forward to that level?
Yeah. So, I think one thing, I am still a geek. So I've referred to myself as the young or the oldest millennial you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
So, so I think there's an element. Last week I was at Inside Real Estate KV Core,
Uh-huh.
and we were digging into a lot of new tech and how we can really educate agents on some cutting edge tools that they get just as being part of EXP, and then new tools that are going to come down the pipe here in the next couple of quarters. So I think just being involved, being aware, always keeping, I think for me, always keeping the mindset of a lead generator.
Okay.
I always play with the idea that you can be great at sales and not make any money because you don't have any leads.
Yeah.
You can suck at sales, have a lot of leads, and actually make money and become a good salesperson in the process. So lead gen, in my opinion, is sort of the key skill set that an agent needs to learn early on, because that will give them the conversations necessary to become good at their craft.
Okay. So I think at the 10X conference, I watched a little bit of that. Grant was asking you about quantity over quality. So for the newer agents that are coming on, the challenge probably is they're learning the business, they're in a different world, they're not going to the brick and mortar companies like they were used to, or, there's different sets of it. So how do you, help them go fast? How do you help them grow?
Yeah, so one is, making sure that we, expose our Icon agents to our newer agents. That's part of the reason why we've got the Icon Agent Program, because you did something to become an Icon. You either worked harder, you lead generated better, and Icons, that's kind of, in my opinion, kind of the first step of being a true professional agent. It's I don't how many sizes did you do last year to get that?
Probably sold like 12 million.
Okay. And that worked out to what, 25 sides?
Yeah, 25, some more higher. So average about 600, 700.
Okay. Yeah. So if you think about it, that's about 2 deals a month. And in my opinion, if you're a professional realtor, you should be doing 2 deals a month. That should be sort of almost the baseline because it's not hard to do. You just have to be dedicated to your craft.
Right.
And if you're dedicated to your craft, and then from there, you can really blow up your business at whatever level, because you now have generally financial freedom. You're making, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year.
Yep.
You got some expenses against that, but it's a good living. So you've got the ability to now invest in lead gen, maybe hire an assistant, do those different things. And I think the more that we can expose sort of the mindset of an Icon to newer agents, the more they'll see it's achievable.
Yeah. So prior to being to EXP, the other brokerages I was with, there was never an incentive, right? It was just, okay, you cap, great. You got an award, great. You did his double diamond, this, all right. It's something that you hear. So I was very, I think I was more motivated to know that there was a carrot at the end of it, and I think I did a lot better for that reason, knowing that, hey, maybe I didn't have to perform. Some people, like, you're comfortable at a certain rate of production. You're not trying to push yourself because you're doing pretty decent. So I think, having some of these systems in place motivates agents to do a lot more and figure out, how they can be their better self. So, what are your current plans now? Future goals? What's next for you?
Well, it's kind of, grow EXP to, the next level. And when I say that, we've kind of put some ambitious goals out there. 5 years, 500,000 agents is and so we think about that. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of organization. There's a lot of reorgs that are going to have to happen through that whole process. A lot of countries we're going to have to open.
Yeah.
A lot of key people that we're going to need to hire and bring over. So I say this being, part of, what I do the next few years is really laying that infrastructure. I'm 55, so I've got, a lot of runway to continue to be highly involved and continue to grow it. And so that's from a goal perspective, that's, that, and of course we've got the other subsidiaries, Success Magazine and other things, but inside of Realty, I mean, that's the big one. I mean, we're going to be the largest single real estate brokerage on the planet by 2024, 2025.
Yeah. So being, I'm excited to be part of that, right? It's a big driver. Let me just a separate question on that. Just, based on who you are today as a billionaire, how do you spend your money? Like 10% in your personal wealth, if you did 10% food, 15% housing, is there a formula that you use to say, because you're thriving, some people are surviving, so the model is kind of different, right, on how people allocate. So somebody at your layer who's really got good systems in place, has a good financial structure, how do you manage your income?
Yeah, I mean, I have a fairly simple taste. I don't spend a whole bunch on stuff. I've got my boat, which is my splurge, and then live up Pacific Northwest. May end up getting a place somewhere else for the winter months, but that's maybe a condo or something in a walkable area. We did actually go look at condos here in Scottsdale, so we'll see if this is where we land as a second place. But for the most part, I do have some investments. I do, I think last year gave over $1 million to charity. So that's kind of my, obviously I don't have to budget like I used to.
Right.
When I got my license, I was driving a used Ford Focus wagon with a cracked windshield and a cigarette burn in the seat.
Yeah.
And that's why I was showing property with, and still did quite well with as an agent, and of course upgraded at some point. I think 2005 or 2006, I got a Chrysler 300C, so that was my upgrade. But it's been kind of a rocket ride. Of course, we in 2008, 2009, we ended up having to short sell a home, like a lot of people.
Yep.
So it's I think really it's just the last probably 4 or 5 years where financials have got pretty good.
Good. All right, so I don't want to keep you any longer. Thank you very much, Glenn, for your time today. I truly appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Soon.
Take care.